This is Stalker, Call of Pripyat. We're here on Xbox Series X, taking a look at the Enhanced Trilogy collection. Be sure to like the video, subscribing is great as well. I think this is a nice quality of life improvement to the collection of games. I'll have a video for each of the different titles running on the platform, so you get an idea of what each of them looks like and offers if you are interested in diving into the world of, well, Stalker. So this is the third of the original trilogy of games. So what we've got here is basically just a selection of improvements to better our experience and allow us to enjoy these games with some improvements. And these were announced literally as part of the reveal of the game back in the day. Or, well, this release of the trilogy, like just over a year ago. They were like, okay, we're going to do next-gen update versions of these games, and that's what we're getting today, is those improvements finally being realized. At the time, I didn't really see the point or why they were doing that, but I was like, okay, that's cool. I can jump back in and take a look at the soccer games once more. Sure, it'll be fun. And that's where we're at today, is enjoying that experience once more on the platform here. And yeah, I think the results here are kind of nice. I think it enhances the experience. And I think it's kind of cool to have an excuse to dive back into the Stalker games. And, yeah, show what they have to offer. They're a pretty cool selection of titles. I definitely do recommend kind of diving in and working through each of them. They all offer something a little bit different and all build upon each other in terms of narrative, gameplay, and experience. So this is the third of the trilogy little set. You had Shadow over Chernobyl, you had the Clear Sky, and this, of course, is Call of Pripyat. And there'll be a few different visual options we'll be going over, a number of different graphical enhancements to this package that have been made. And yeah, I think the experience here is quite nice. Your saves and everything carry over from your previous version of the game. It's just an update to the experience, so they just run and look better, which is awesome. And your achievements, you just continue unlocking them. It's a nice little upgrade to something you might have been playing or might be looking at playing for the first time. And I do think you will have some fun going through these games. I mean, they're definitely games of their time, but I think with the visual upgrades and stuff, it's kind of a nice touch, especially if you're craving more Stalker after having gone through, say, Stalker 2, which is now available. Well, you know, because it wasn't available when we first played these, and now it is, and I think you get what I'm talking about, just in terms of this being a better experience to enjoy. So let's talk a little bit about the technical stuff here. I can't see you because the bush density is too good. The zombie can see me through the bush, but I cannot see the zombie through the bush. This guy I can see. That guy, I cannot see this dude. Where are you? There you are. Gun jammed, of course it would. So what you've been seeing here is the performance mode. So there's 4 different graphical settings that you can choose between, and performance is what I actually recommend you play at. But of course, the choice is up to you and how you want to go about experiencing this game. So it's a dynamic 4K at 60 FPS. Pretty straightforward, runs well, looks good, no issues at all. I would say this is kind of your default setting. And of course, at any point, you can go into the options and change it. So we're going to Ultra Performance. So Ultra Performance is dropping the resolution down to 1440p, and it is 120 FPS. So this mode, you definitely need VRR enabled to properly enjoy this mode. I mean, you need 120 Hz display for 2 of the modes anyways in this game, so, you know, just saying. Because you'll see on my screen there's screen tearing involved, so you definitely need to have VRR, which is variable refresh rate, in order to make sure that you're getting like a smooth, synced visual quality experience, frame rate wise, on Xbox. So this mode, like, obviously we're getting a drop in the visual fidelity of the game, but I don't think it's necessarily too noticeable for most, and then you get the higher frame rate, which is kind of cool. I guess the big question would be, like, do you need that kind of frame rate for, you know, a game like this that's not like a competitive shooter? That's really up to the individual and whether or not they want to make that sacrifice a little bit for resolution just to have a higher frame rate. But of course, that's the magic of modern gaming, is you get to choose. And I think it's awesome that they gave us so many different visual profiles here so that we could enjoy this game from a variety of different ways. Nice. What I really could use, though, is some more health packs, considering, you know, I wasted all the health packs on basically killing these guys. These zombies. Nothing? Maybe I already killed these guys. I don't know. I would just say there's more zombies down there, but I'm not sure I want to waste all of my health packs doing this. I mean, who cares, I guess, right? It's not like I'm gonna keep really rolling with this save. I have older saves that I'll go back to later on. Anyway, so that's the high frame rate mode. Then there's quality mode. So quality mode is a native 4K at 30 FPS. It just, to me, it doesn't look great to play it at this frame rate level. Personally, like, stop squirming. But you know, you do you. I guess if you want just like absolutely maxed out visuals, this would be the way to go about it. But yeah, you really feel that frame rate on this one being low. So I sit here and I kind of ponder, like, you know, the actual benefit of, like, doing this particular mode. I theorize it's something for, like, a next-gen Xbox. You could, like, bump it up and, you know, push things a little bit further. Totally up to you and how you want to go about it. But, yeah, this is just kind of how it looks. It just doesn't feel great to play, though, I think is the problem. Like, shooter games, to me, really do benefit greatly from being a higher frame rate. I guess you could also make the argument that since it's single player, it doesn't matter as much, but yeah, to me it's kind of like just too much of a sacrifice from a technical standpoint to go to this. But yeah, like I said, you get all the choices in the settings and the control to play it however you want. And then finally we have balanced. I just want to mention before we go off of this, there's sound settings, game settings, difficulty-wise, everything like that, interface stuff, and then the controls, which always say keyboard mouse, which is kind of funny, but anyways, like clearly I'm using a controller here, but anyways, it doesn't matter. Hello there. So balance mode, the idea is to give you... Hey, that's not good. Oh wow, they're closing in ranks. The idea is to give you... Why did it not switch to the MP5? Because it was on the ammo. Okay. It gives you a mix between resolution and performance. So this is a 40 FPS targeting mode, dynamic 4K. So it kind of looks better, and it just gives you something that's a little bit more fluid than just having, you know, 30 FPS, because 30 FPS doesn't really feel fluid, whereas 40 FPS feels like it evenly divides into higher level fluidity. So it's just like a much better experience doing it this way. So that would be kind of my recommend for tackling this, would be to try this mode if you want like higher visuals. But yeah, I mean, like, obviously, like I said, you know, there is the performance mode, so I don't know. And you need a 120 Hz display to play this mode as well, because that's what 40 FPS is, you know, tied to in that. So, just in case you were wondering, that is how it works, yeah. Cool. But I mean, it looks nice, you know, it plays relatively well, and like I said, it feels way better than quality mode does. Which should be the goal, to give us these kind of things. Aha. Getting away from all these zombies. Mostly because I'm done getting shot at by hordes of the undead. I'm kind of sick of it. Oh, there's a group of stalkers over here. No. Sometimes you see a raging fire and there's like a group of stalkers just hanging out. So anyways, yeah, that was kind of the balance mode. So we're just going to go back to performance, because that is the preferred way to play. I think it's just the way to go about it, but, you know, you do you, right? So make the choices that you want. The next big thing outside of the technical element of this is the fact that we now have mod support, mod.io integration into the game, so there's mods. I'm hoping to put together a mod video, something like that in the near future, so, you know, stay tuned for that sort of a thing, I guess, if that interests you, and hopefully we'll have some cool mods and things to check out and talk about and showcase. It's just been kind of grueling trying to get videos done for all of the Stalker games on top of the normal stuff going on here. But yeah, that's kind of a cool thing. Mod support adds great longevity to a video game, in my opinion. I think others would feel equally that that is, you know, the truth there. It'd be like, yeah, no, definitely makes a big difference being able to play with mods. And oh, jeez. Radiation, am I right? Can't stock without it. Don't want to stock in it. Yeah, okay, so mod support. And then in general, the visual settings that have been improved for the game. So, like, you know, I've talked about just, like, visuals, resolution, frame rate, and stuff like that. They've also done enhancements to the overall game. So lighting and reflections, God rays, screen space reflections, and global illumination have all been added. Were enhanced, as to say, so that's, like, you know, you kind of see light kind of peeking through things as like God rays. Textures, upscaled textures, and more 3D detailed models for NPCs, weapons, and environments. I think you've kind of noticed that when we were up close against, you know, the soldiers fighting them and stuff, we were, you know, actually seeing more detailed models, like the guns and everything look better. And yeah, it's just some nice quality of life improvements to make this experience look nicer. Is it the weight of this extra shotgun that I really do not need at all? That maybe is like holding me down a bit. I mean, I should grab it to sell it, but like I said, the save doesn't really matter. Then shaders, enhanced water shaders, and upgraded skyboxes, which I think should have been one of the first things you noticed when we started playing this, was just how much better the backdrop in the game looks. Like, it is a magnificent improvement aesthetically to the game, and I think you'll be pretty happy by the skybox improvements across the different games when you go to play them. It is a world of difference for sure. Then we also have now beautifully upgraded 4K cinematics, so pre-rendered 4K cinematics, and this one's a little less fancy when you kind of start at the opening of it. Like the first game, you really kind of notice it. It's like this one's more of like a text kind of mood thing, and you know, a lot of the stuff I think you've been seeing even with the helicopters, a lot of those cinematic things are actually like in game, and so you don't really, I guess, perhaps see it as much, but it is something that is here to improve your experience, which is kind of cool. So yeah, just in general, a big upgrade here, right? We're getting 4 graphical modes. We're getting something that like looks and plays a lot better. Yeah, I don't really know what more you'd specifically want, I guess, on these older games. It is a bit like remastering them a bit and just toning them up, and it's an interesting choice. Like, it's cool because they basically got people excited about Stalker, and then they released Stalker 2, and people, you know, came into Stalker 2 and enjoyed that, I believe, pretty well. Like, most people on the channel seem to really be into Stalker 2 whenever I do videos, so yeah, that seems to be relatively well liked. And then by doing an upgrade for Stalker's original games, I think that entices people that played Stalker 2, maybe didn't play the first ones, and now go, oh, maybe I should take a look at, you know, these other entries in the Stalker series. So, yeah, it's pretty logical to me, at least I think so, right? Like, it all makes sense how it all comes together, and like I said, I've got, you know, videos for each of the different games in this trilogy, so you can take a look at each of them if you got a particular favorite. This one, I think the first one really does seem to have a lot of attention for people, and then this one would be second to that. Clear Sky really doesn't get enough love. It's a bit sad. So anyways, for... Oh, really? We're gonna do this stuff where you're throwing boxes at... It's just harassment is what it is. I don't appreciate it. I don't like it, you know. Like, I get that I'm coming into your workspace and stuff, but it's just like, did you throw a stalker a break instead of throwing miscellaneous objects at me that kind of hurt my feelings? That would be nice. That would be lovely. But yeah, a military expedition to the center of the zone has mysteriously disappeared. Your task as a special service operative is to figure out the reasoning behind these situations. And you're going to be exploring what is very much a large area and visiting some different places. It's really quite cool because this one, like the first game, you know, was kind of open, but it was more linear. It was more like hub type worlds, kind of like, you know, Fable used to have basically. Really with the boxes, guys. Oh man, always with the boxes in this area. Oh wow, I'm gonna die. I didn't even realize that. Okay, not cool. Not cool. Not cool at all. Oh geez, and the lightning here. And the electricity. Ugh. Yeah, the first game. Kind of tighter, a little bit more linear set. And then when you go into like Stalker, which would have been the second one at the time, but like Clear Sky, that's when the factions and stuff started really cooking up, and you get to see these dynamic battles as groups kind of move through areas. And you start out in a swamp, and then you get to the large area where there's a lot of conflict going on. You know, the building of the live a life system and all that, which was really neat. And then this game really just embraces a more open world concept. Like, these are still, like, areas, but you get, like, a large area, and then you get, like, another large area, and so you just kind of get these big spaces. And these games came out relatively tightly together back in the day, if that makes sense. Like, they released them relatively tight-knit, and then that was basically the setup. Was, like, bing, bang, boom, you got all these different... Am I just, like, exhausted? Do I need food? I need an energy drink is what I need. Oh, yeah. Yeah, so you kind of got them one after another. And it was kind of impressive what they did here. But this one's really neat. I like the setting, the scenario of it. I think you'll find it to be quite intriguing. Are you guys all talking over each other? Howdy ho, hi there, Stalker. Yeah, so then they tell me I have to go talk to this guy, and then that'll help me get up into the top area and stuff. It's a whole journey, Stalker, you know, going through quests, exploring. It's more about the ambience as opposed to specifically doing, like, going through the missions. Like, obviously there is a story to go through, there's stuff to do in this. But it's more about, like, little side activities you get on, the journey you kind of go on. It's got a vibe. Like, yes, it's fun to, like, you know, sit there and whip through the games. For sure, definitely, yeah. But it is more about, like, the ambience of taking in the mood and the scenery of this place that's, like, kind of dark and messed up and, you know, trying to survive. And they certainly, they have a style to them. That's for sure. And this one's quite neat. I think everyone has, like, different favorites in regards to, like...
Get out of here, you bastards, or I'll take you all out!
That's not very nice. Wait, you have a pet one of these? I didn't even think that was possible. Hi, dude. Yeah, anyway, so this guy takes me to where I need to go for this helicopter. So a little bit of a hint if you've ever played this game is how you get through this part right here. Because it is like, hell, what? When I first played it, I was just like, how do you get up on this helicopter? It doesn't make any sense.
Watch carefully and follow me.
Yeah, I'm just going to run through the fire and hope for the best. The anomalies, you know, what can you do, right? Yeah, but this is a pretty majestic upgrade to the game. Very happy with the improvements across the package and the experience. I think you'll be quite happy with it. Yeah, it's kind of a nice touch, good quality of life, just across the board for all three titles. And then just like wildly different but cool Stalker games that you get to try out and see if you like. And I would definitely say this trilogy is certainly worth diving into. And I think you'll discover some cool stuff, see some weird twisted things, fight some monstrous enemies and entities, and just explore a really cool vibe and dark, twisted world that's filled to the brim with excitement, weirdness, and, I don't know, challenges the whole way through, which is cool.